Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jazia. In today's video, I'm going to be doing my top 10 favorite bronzers of all time, from powder to cream to everything in between. So if you're interested, keep on watching. Okay, so we're beginning with the first bronzer. This is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Bronzer in the shade Luminous Bronze Light. As you can see, it's very interesting. So it has it's like a medium to deep brown color, but it also has like a little bit of like a nude rosy kind of shade, which I think makes it look very interesting. So why I love this bronzer? Well, first of all, it does have like a little bit of shimmer, like a soft, I think like a soft golden shimmer, but it's very, very subtle, and when you apply it on the skin, it doesn't really show. It will give like the skin a very soft focus, ethereal kind of glow, which is what I love. And I love that it has like that rosy nude kind of shade, so it's almost like a bronzer blush in one. So it mimics a very natural flush. It looks like an ambery, burnished, golden kind of color. So in terms of like application, I would say, first of all, the color is like a medium to deep brown kind of color, so you can definitely like build up the color. I also find it to be very like intense, so I don't apply this bronzer like heavy-handed. Like some bronzers, I can just like swirl my brush in there. With this one, I have to be a little bit more careful because it is very pigmented, so it really shows on the skin. So it's good, I guess, if you really want like intense color. Maybe you also want to like slightly contour. This is like a good bronzer for that. And I'm also gonna show what this color looks like in natural daylight, so you get an idea, because now it's like indoors. I think that's also important. So like I said, this is in my top 10 favorite bronzers of all time. It has a beautiful finish. I wouldn't like apply it heavy-handedly because it's pretty intense, but that can be like a good thing, I guess. So this is the Hourglass Ambient Bronzer, one of my all-time favorites. Okay, so now moving on to the next bronzer. This is the Tom Ford Bronzing Powder in the shade 01 Gold Lust. And this is what it looks like. I mean, the packaging is so beautiful. This one is like a very golden kind of bronzer. So I'm also gonna show like a swatch in natural lighting. This has like a nice golden, finely milled shimmer as well. I love that because I love the glow. You know, when I think about bronzy skin, I want to look like a bronzed bombshell. So I love anything that makes me look very bronzy, very golden, very luminous. And this definitely delivers. And this is what it looks like up close. This is like a bronzer that I go for when I want my skin to look extra golden. You know, some bronzers are like a little bit more peachy, burnished, bronzy. This is like a more golden kind of bronzer. So I wanted to wear this today, but I couldn't choose between this one and the Chanel one, which I will show later. Those are like my two favorite golden based bronzers, and it applies very, very beautiful on my skin. I'm also gonna show like a swatch in natural lighting so you get an idea what it looks like there. And I really love the color. I love the finish. It's like a nice golden color, but again, you know, you can see like in natural daylight what it looks like on my skin tone. My skin is like medium-ish, so this is the shade Gold Lust, which is number 1, it says. The coverage is very like buildable, so I can make it look as intense as I want to. So this is the Tom Ford Bronzing Powder in the shade Gold Lust. Now the next color is by Tilbury, and this is like an old classic one. This is the Filmstar Bronze and Glow, which I still love. This was like one of her first bronzers, I think, that she released like a long time ago, but till this day I still love using this. And this is what it looks like. So again, all of my bronzers are like very warm, you know, so this is like golden or burnished. I would say like out of all of my bronzers, this one, even though it looks very golden, maybe it's the most grayish of all the bronzers that I have. However, I would not classify this as like a gray tone bronzers, because I know like the gray tone bronzers are very good for like the contouring and, you know, creating like that very snatched kind of look, because it mimics like a natural shadow. But I feel like this bronzer would definitely be a good bronzer for not only bronzing but also for contouring, for creating like a more snatched kind of look. And again, you know, you'll see what it looks like in natural lighting. In natural light, actually, it's very subtle. but the coverage is also like buildable, which is what I love. And of course it comes with like a highlighter, so it's perfect. It's like a 2-in-1. Actually, it's like a 3-in-1. You can bronze, you can contour, create a very nice snatched kind of look, while at the same time also highlighting. So this is like a classic and I still love it till this day, and I highly recommend this bronzer, especially if you want like a 2-in-1 bronze and highlight in one package. So yeah, definitely one I highly recommend, and it's in my top 10 all-time favorite bronzers. Then the next bronzer is the famous NARS Original Laguna shade, which is also like a very famous color. I understand why. This is definitely like a bronzer. I have like seasons where I only use like this bronzer. I just feel like I can do so many things with it. Now again, I would say the color is like an ambery golden kind of color. It has like a little bit of a finely milled golden shimmer, but it's very subtle. So it's not too intense. It's not gonna accentuate any pores. Actually, it almost looks matte. But if you look very closely, there is a little bit of shimmer in there, but it's very subtle. So this is definitely like more velvety kind of finish. So it's not like a pure matte color, but it's also not like a shimmery one like the Hourglass or the Tom Ford one. This one is like a velvet kind of in between kind of finish, and the color is also very beautiful. It's like a nice ambery golden kind of shade. It applies very beautifully on the skin, and the color is like a medium to deep kind of shade. It's very universal, I think. I mean, I don't know if it works for like every single skin tone, but since it is a very famous color, I suppose that it works for a lot of people. So, you know, this is definitely like one of my all-time favorites. I really like this, especially like when I want to like do a little bit of definition around my nose, a little bit of contouring there. This is usually like my favorite bronzer for that. It belongs like in the top 10 all-time favorite bronzers. It's something that I grab many times, and like I said, I have like these times in my life where this is like my go-to bronzer and this is all that I use, so I really love it. Then we have the Charlotte Tilbury, another Charlotte product, but she's like one of my favorite brands. This is the Beach Stick, which I love so much, and this is what it looks like. Now this, I like, first of all, the name. So the color is in the shade Ibiza, and the name, right? Like, don't we all wish we lived in Ibiza? Like, this definitely will mimic, you know, that sun-kissed natural kind of glow. I feel like this color is probably like the most, it mimics the most natural, true, bronzy kind of color, like the way we would tan naturally. When you apply it on the skin, I'm gonna show what it looks like. It looks very intense, but like once you blend it in, it's gonna look very natural. But this is a good bronzer if you do want to create like a very snatched, contoured kind of look while also bronzing at the same time. It comes like in a cream stick kind of form, so it gives you like a lot of control with application. But this is like a true sunburned, burnished brown kind of color, because I feel like when we tan naturally, it would be like a reddish brown color. And like also like the other bronzers, I would say it also has a very finely milled golden kind of shimmer. But again, it's so fine, it's so subtle, it does not show intense. So I don't think it's something that would like accentuate texture on the skin. It's not gonna make you look oily, I think. It also blends very beautifully. It's a cream, so it melts into the skin. It has a nice, beautiful, radiant kind of finish. Definitely in my top 10 all-time favorite bronzers. I highly recommend this. Then one of my all-time favorite makeup brands, this is the Giorgio Armani, and it's the Luminous Silk Glow Fusion Powder in the shade 9. So this is like a, you can just use it in so many different ways. It can be used as a powder foundation, as a bronzer, as a setting powder, like so many things you can do with it. So this is what the bronzer looks like. I hope you can see it. So yeah, the color is very beautiful. It's like an ambery, golden peachy kind of shade. It also has like a little bit of a finely milled golden shimmer, but again, it's very subtle. It applies on my skin like butter. It's like, it's velvet, it's like silk. That's why it's called silk, obviously. It's for a reason. You know, if I want like a nice, true, velvety, luminous, blurred kind of effect, this is the bronzer that I would use. And like I said, I'm obsessed. Like literally the Luminous Silk is like one of the best things I've ever used in makeup. So I highly recommend this, and I use it for many different things. I use it as a powder foundation, as a setting powder, and as a bronzer. They come in like different shades, so anyone can find whatever works for them. Definitely one of my all-time favorite products. So this is another one of my all-time favorites. So this is the Chanel Les Beiges Poudre Belle Mine in the shade medium. But this one, you know, similar to like the NARS Laguna, there are seasons where I just use this. I actually have it on my skin right now. This, I would say, out of all the bronzers I have, is the most subtle. It's the most golden. It's a soft, it adds like a soft touch of warmth to the skin. It's not like deep. I feel like maybe you can build up the color, but this one is very, very soft. I feel like this one is the least burnished, peachy kind of, it's really more yellow toned. And you can see, especially like in natural lighting, especially when I compare it to like the different bronzers, because by the end of the video, I'm gonna do like a full swatch of like all the colors next to each other. This one, especially in natural lighting, is the most subtle and also the most golden. So when I use this, I definitely have to like swirl my brush in there for quite some time before I pick up like a good amount of color. I mean, it's designed to be that way. It's designed to be very subtle. It's very like forgiving. It's not going to be like too much. So it doesn't bother me that it's subtle, because if it did, it wouldn't look like this. Sometimes I want something to be, you know, not too dark, just a little bit of a soft golden kind of glow. This is just going to give like a touch of warmth to the skin, just a little bit. But I guess maybe if you use like a darker shade, it might be more intense. I don't know. So this is the Chanel Les Beiges Poudre Belle Mine in the shade B30. And then another Charlotte Tilbury product. This is the Beautiful Skin Sun-Kissed Glow Bronzer. And so this is like one of her cream bronzers. And look how big this is. I mean, this is gonna last, I think, a lifetime. This is in the shade 2 Medium, by the way. And this is what it looks like from close up. The color. Okay, so the color is similar to like the other bronzers I showed. It's a burnished, peachy, sunburned kind of brown color. It can look a little bit golden on skin as well. The coverage is also medium to deep. So I would say like the finish, this one is not like a shimmery. It's I think it's like a matte, velvety kind of finish. So if you like your bronzers to be more on the velvety side, then this is like a really good bronzer for that. You don't want to apply this like heavy-handed. Like I had to learn the hard way. You know, I was like swirling my brush in this like I would with like another cream bronzer that I have. With this one, I shouldn't do that because it was very, very intense. If you want that, like if you want something that has like a pretty intense color, this is definitely gonna deliver. This is great for bronzing while also creating a very snatched contour kind of look. You can really like apply it and see like where you applied it. So it's perfect if you want to like contour, and you can see what it looks like in natural lighting. So it's like a burnished, bronzy, ambery with like some golds, you know, especially like once you blend it in. This, like I said, has a velvety matte kind of finish. It reminds me of the Chanel Les Beiges kind of bronzer. It also has like that kind of moussey, velvety kind of finish. It's like a very airbrushed kind of texture. But yeah, so this is the Beautiful Skin Sun-Kissed Glow Bronzer by Charlotte Tilbury. So this one for me is like a classic. Now, I love all the bronzers that I mentioned, but if I had to choose like in my top 3 all-time favorite bronzers, this definitely would be in the top 3. I don't know if it would be number 1, it could be number 2. It depends on my needs. Like sometimes I prefer like a powder, sometimes I prefer a cream. But if I have to choose like my number 1 cream bronzer, then it would be the Chanel Soleil Teint Chanel in the shade Bronze Universal. Yeah, this one will never disappoint. And the finish is very unique. So it looks like a mousse. It's a golden peachy color, and it's a true matte velvety kind of finish. So this bronzer leaves no shimmer, like there's no golden sparkle, or not that I can see. And it leaves also a very like airbrushed velvety kind of finish. So if you want a velvety bronzer, this is a good one for that. And then I'm also gonna show like in natural lighting. So this one, I can swirl my brush in here and not have to worry like it's gonna be like too intense. I love how it applies on my skin. It's very, very silky, giving it a nice warm glow, like a nice golden touch to the skin. And yeah, so but you can like build up the color if you want to. So yeah, if I had to really like choose one bronzer, which is really hard because everything that I showed I really love, it could be this one. But definitely like in the cream bronzer collection, this one is my number one. So this is the Soleil de Chanel in the color Bronze Universal. I think it works for many different skin tones. A final but not least, another Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. This is the Airbrush bronzer for face and body in the shade 2 medium. And look at the packaging. I mean, Charlotte Tilbury has the most gorgeous packaging I've ever seen. Like, look at how gorgeous that is. The bronzer, stunning. I love using this bronzer when I want to do like a 90s kind of inspired beauty look. This one, you know, because it's matte. When you think about the 90s, I think it's like, you know, very matte, velvety. Now, I don't like matte makeup, but I do love velvety makeup. So if I want to do a velvety kind of makeup look and I don't want to look too glowing, this is the one that I use. It's also like medium to deep, so it's in the shade 2 medium. You can build up the intensity, you can make it as deep as you want. And the color is also a burnished, peachy, sunburned kind of brown. But it looks also like golden on the skin. And you will see what it looks like also in natural light. You know, even though I love the glow, I have days where I just want the skin to be a little bit, or I want my bronzers to be a little bit more matte. I think some people like their bronzers to be either like matte or glowing. So if you want it matte, this is the bronzer for that. So this is the Airbrush bronzer by Charlotte Tilbury in the shade 2 medium. One of my all-time favorites. So this was my top 10 favorite bronzers of all time that I highly recommend. So if you're interested in like purchasing any one of these bronzers, I hope this video was helpful. I'm now gonna show like a final swatch where I'm gonna do like all the colors next to each other so you can see what it looks like, because I feel like when I do like one color at a time, sometimes they look similar, but if I put them all next to each other, you can see what the color really looks like. So I did like a little swatch in natural lighting, and then you can kind of have an idea of what everything looks like in contrast to like the other shades, especially if you have like something specific in mind. So this is the natural swatches. So I think that's a wrap. This was basically my video on all-time favorite bronzers, my top 10 favorite bronzers, the ones that I recommend the most. So if you happen to be interested in any one of these bronzers, if you wanted to like purchase it, then you get an idea what it looks like. I hope the video was useful, but basically this is my all-time favorite top 10 best bronzers of all time. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, don't forget to like. If you want to see more, subscribe, and till next time.